Hi, this is Todd with ESOTERIC Car Care. Today we're going to be taking a look at how to identify paint defects. Okay, in this video we're going to talk a bit about how to identify paint defects. If you've watched the other video we've done with this E39 M5, we talked about how to inspect the paint in preparation for paint correction. We went over a lot of details of this car. But just to recap real quickly, 2001 E39 M5, 70,000 miles on it, sat outside for many years. New owner has rescued it, putting a lot of investment into it to bring it back, a lot of dent removal, had some repainting done in a few areas, but we know we've got a lot of defects on this car, and we're doing a restorative level detail on it. Restorative level meaning the highest that we have to offer. We're going for as good of a finish and bringing things back to life as much as we possibly can on this vehicle. So it was a perfect candidate for a video like this. Now, when we're taking a look at a car here in the shop, it comes in, let's talk about this car, because each car is going to be different and we're looking for different things on each one in particular. If I get a brand new Ferrari in, I know the biggest thing that I'm looking for in there are sanding marks, because all of them have it. Same thing, it doesn't matter if you get an Aston Martin or McLaren, they're all going to have sanding marks, and they're typically going to have holograms from a rotary buffer not used the right way, and it leaves those marks too. This one's older, it's had a lot of neglect, so I know I'm going to run into other kind of things. I'm going to be looking for blend marks. I know it's had some repainting. I'm going to be looking for holograms. I'm going to be looking for just regular swirls. I'm going to be looking for individual scratches and any other kind of imperfections. If it's been a repaint, I can look for solvent pop to see if it has anything like that in it. So each one's different, and we're going to do different videos for different cars that go over different kinds of defects. We're not going to have all of them in one car. We'll spend some time on some other videos with that when those situations arise. So on this car here, we've already done our inspection. We've looked through, we've taken paint thickness measurements. We know what areas have been repainted on it. Now we want to get into some of the specifics of what we're finding to figure out what attack we need to have on it. And that also combined with our paint thickness gauge readings, it'll tell us what we can and can't do on the finish. Now, if I'm looking at this one a little bit more closely, I'm using my LED light as part of the inspection process. And I'm finding, particularly on these doors over here, it's just about as bad as you can imagine. It's got a little bit of everything in it, mostly just standard swirls from the years, washing it wrong, drying it wrong, wiping it down with a quick detailer as opposed to actually washing the car. Just a lot of bad things going on. It's swirled, it's stained. I've got heavier scratches up in these areas where we talked about before, people incorrectly shutting the door. You only use the door handle to shut the door. You don't touch on the sides, you don't touch up on here unless you just want to have a car that's bad condition like this one. So on these panels right here, I'm looking at all of the heavy swirls and the fact that it's just not black anymore. Now for regular swirls, that's everyday defects that we're going to be working with. Those are relatively easy to remove with a multi-stage polishing process. Heavier compound to start, fine finishing to end it with. Now, if I go back a little bit more and I'm looking, here I've got a heavy straight line scratch. The rule of thumb is if you can feel that scratch with your fingernail, it's probably too deep to fully correct. And going with the measurements that I have on the paint, I know that I've only got so much to work with. So in these kind of cases, I figure that I'm going to make it look better, but I'm probably not going to be able to get rid of it completely. Could I? Sure. Should I? No. Why do I say that? Is because you remove way too much material right there, and then it's kind of a one and done situation. First of all, you still have to worry about potentially burning through. You have to worry about clear coat failure down the road. As in potentially cracking, peeling, fading. Or if I go in there and just sand that completely out and take away 20 microns of clear coat, the next person that goes to polish it, they may be the unlucky ones that end up burning through. So you have to think about the future of the vehicle, not just what you're detailing for. Now, in the Elite Detailer Academy, we talk about that with every class. Are you detailing for next week, or are you detailing for the next 10, 20 years of that car? So you want to look at all those different kind of defects in here, and then you want to compare them to the other kind of defects you have on the rest of the car. What we're going to do is we're going to go over to the other side of the car, and we're going to look at some defects that we're finding over there that are different on this panel, and we'll kind of talk about what causes them and what approach that we're going to take that's a little bit different. All right, now that we're over here on this side of the car, I want to point out a couple things to you that we found, and there's a lot of confusion sometimes about swirls and holograms and scratches and things. I want to kind of point that out a little bit, and we'll come in close with a camera and a light so you can see more about what I'm talking about. First of all, when you're talking about scratches and swirls, a lot of people that just don't know any better think that swirls are a natural part of the car. So you talk to them about the condition, you know, they say, well, I just have a couple of scratches. Well, that means they have a couple of big scratches and thousands of small scratches. Those swirls are just micro scratches in the car. And that's not the way paint's supposed to look. When paint goes down, it doesn't have that in it. It's only caused by not working with it correctly, touching the paint, wiping it down wrong, using the wrong kind of towels, wrong washing methods, automatic car washes, all that cause your regular swirls. So the difference between looking at rotary holograms and swirls, some people might think, look at them, they look about the same, but here's what you want to look for. If you're looking with an inspection light, the regular swirls should just stay consistent spider webbing. When you look at a hologram, either in the sunshine or the inspection light, it should have like arms or tentacles that are going to be reaching out from it. And typically speaking, as you move your point of view or your perspective, those arms or tentacles are going to kind of move with the light. That is caused by a rotary buffer. So if you're looking at a car and you see a lot of those down the car, you know somebody did a very poor polishing job with a rotary on there. A rotary can finish down perfectly. Very few people out there who actually know how to do it. So here, if we're doing a quick inspection and we're walking down and we're looking at the light, and I see regular swirls, holograms, regular swirls, that tells me right away somebody has worked on just that door. Chances are it wasn't a detailer because it would have those marks consistent down the whole thing. That tells me that this has probably been painted. You hit it with a paint thickness gauge and you can find, yes, it is a different thickness than all the rest. So, when you look at them, if you see those arms or tentacles, particularly if they start moving with the light, a rotary has been there and it hasn't been used right, and you're going to have to go in and fix that stuff. Now, sometimes you can go in and find on a car that's relatively easy to fix. We use a DA machine on it. A lot of times one-step polishing is going to be all that it takes, but it depends on how aggressive the person was, how dirty their pad was when they did it. It could leave some really heavy defects in there that you'll have to go in and do multi-stage polishing. So if we look at the differences between regular swirls and holograms in there, you'll know what to look for on your car or future cars. Or if you've had your car repainted, if you see those kind of marks in there, person didn't do a very good job, you're going to want to go see a detailer. Don't take it back to the same place. They're not going to make it any better. You go to a good reputable detailer, they'll be able to get that out and get it back to the natural finish that it should be. So swirls versus holograms. Swirls caused by regular everyday use and improper washing and drying. Holograms caused by a rotary machine, and if you don't see it everywhere on the car, it's a good indication there's been some body work on it. That's when you need to start taking a look at closer areas of the car, look for burn marks and things where they may have gone a little bit too aggressive on it. So now that you know the difference on them, kind of have a better idea of what caused them and what you're going to have to do to fix them moving forward. Okay, now that we've gone in and identified all of our defects on the car, we have a good idea of what we can do, what we can't do, what kind of approach that we have. We already knew that we planned on doing a restorative level detail on here. This just gives us an idea of how much of those defects that we can get rid of and what our approach is going to be in some of the different areas. With this one, with it being a restorative level, we're still going to have a goal of maybe 95% correction. You may think, well, wait a minute, you're going for full correction on it. Well, there's no such thing as a full correction detail, at least if you're dealing with OEM paint. It's just not practical to try to get rid of all the defects. As we talked about, there's going to be some stuff in here that's too deep to fully correct. We like to tell customers, or worst case, we can make it look better. But the stuff that's left, it's either going to be too deep to start off with, or it's going to be an area that the machine just can't get to completely. But our 95% is somebody else's 100%. Usually the stuff that's left over, people are going to have a really hard time seeing in there. And if you're a detailer at home, doing it yourself, or you're a professional detailer, part-time detailer, whatever, don't think in terms of 100%. Don't kill yourself, because that's when mistakes happen, is when you try to be the hero and you're chasing and chasing and chasing a defect, and then guess what? You've gone too far, you've burnt through the paint, you need to pay to have somebody's panel repainted. So keep in mind that you're going to have some defects that are left. And when we were on this car, we took a look at your everyday swirls that have a distinct pattern to them. We've taken a look at some individual scratches, and we've taken a look at holograms caused by a rotary buffer. Now, in other videos that we're going to do on other cars, we'll look at some of the other specific defects that you can find out there, with sanding marks, with blend marks, with solvent pop, and a variety of other kind of things. So we will have more videos that we're going to be showing, talking about some other areas. So with this one, hopefully you can follow along, take a look at some of the other processes that we do on this car. As I said, this one lends itself to do a lot of great videos with it, so make sure and stay tuned. If you have any specific questions on some of the processes we're doing with this particular car, leave it in the comment below. Hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, because we're constantly updating new videos on detailing tips, tools, and techniques. That's about all for today. For Esoteric Car Care, I'm Todd Cooperrider. Thanks, and we'll see you again next time.